Hello friends. Today's remedy which we are going to study is one of the greatest proving made by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann sir. This remedy is one of the most essential part of our homeopathy as it is one of the greatest antisoric remedy. So without this remedy we cannot think of practicing homeopathy as this medicine is very helpful in both acute and chronic cases. Friends, this remedy has to be prescribed so then only the chronic case gets completely cured. We cannot think of curing any skin diseases without prescribing this remedy in the entire period of treatment. Hello friends, this is Dr. Ritvi. Welcome to Homeopathy the Healing Power, and today we are going to study homeopathic medicine sulphur. Friends, to make sure that you will watch this video till the end to understand the deeper aspects of sulphur, so that you will come to know the both mental and physical symptoms of sulphur that will help you in your final prescription and as a student in your exam. Also friends, if you find this video helpful, then give this video a like and also share this video among homeopathic students and practitioners so that they will be also get benefited by this video. If you are watching this video for the very first time and if you are new to our channel, then feel free to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Select option all so that you will be get updated whenever a new video is uploaded from Homeopathy the Healing Power. So let's get started. Sulphur. Homeopathic medicine sulphur is prepared from element sulphur. Commonly it is called as brimstone, flowers of sulphur. Of course, this medicine is proved by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann sir. Friends, sulphur is one of the elements that has been used in the field of medicine since thousands of years. But Dr. Samuel Hahnemann sir made a very wise use of this element by the process of drug proving and by making this medicine available in the field of homeopathy in the form of homeopathic medicine, which is highly potentized and dynamized. So this medicine has been used for variety of diseases, and that we cannot think of practicing homeopathy without this precious medicine. So whenever a patient comes to us, the patient has different miasms in its background with various diseases. And so whatever the medicine is given to the patient on the basis of symptom similarity, organon point of view, it is our sole duty as an homeopathic physician to take out the patient from its syphilis miasm, then from its psychotic miasm, and then keep the patient in the soric state through homeopathic medicine, and this takes place through the course of treatment. So as sulphur is antisoric medicine, so we are supposed to prescribe sulphur to our patient in the entire course of a treatment. Either if symptom similarity matches, on the basis of totality of symptom, sulphur is selected, or at the end when the patient gives us proper follow-up and the disease gets cured, sulphur is supposed to prescribe so that the relapsing of symptoms, so that the recurrency of symptoms and the recurrency of disease stops. And so this makes sulphur the most valuable remedy in our homeopathy. So basically sulphur is a non-metallic yellow brittle substance which is found in very large quantity in Sicily and in Italy, whereas sulphur is also one of the essential component seen in vegetable and animal structures. Friends, the main action of sulphur is seen on skin. In our homeopathic Materia Medica, we have no other remedy with such a great affinity towards skin. As well as sulphur also acts on nervous system, where it affects the venous capillary system. Also the main action of sulphur is seen on mucous membrane. Here it specially acts on the mucous membrane of eyes, bronchi, urethra and rectum. As well as portal system also comes under the action of sulphur. At the end, sulfur is one of the most important remedy that acts on the whole body. By acting on skin, sulfur produces redness, itching, and burning of skin, as well as various skin diseases comes under the action of sulfur. By acting on venous system, sulfur produces portal stasis, as well as by acting on mucous membrane, especially on the mucocutaneous junctions like nostril, lips and anus. Sulfur produces great redness and burning of the affected part. Sulfur has centrifugal action, that means from within outwards. So whatever there is hidden or suppressed within the body, sulfur takes out on the external surface. Now friends, let's see here with an example of skin diseases. As sulfur has a great affinity towards skin, and also because the sulfur has a centrifugal action, so whatever may be hidden inside or whatever is suppressed inside, sulfur by its action pushes everything internal out on the external surface, that is on the skin. And so sulfur is more prone towards skin diseases, and sulfur tends to aggravate most of the diseases. And this is not just aggravation, this is just the centrifugal action of sulfur. So wherever the sulfur acts, whatever may be the symptom and whatever may be the disease condition, sulfur will firstly indicate it whenever there is redness, itching, burning and inflammation of the affected part. Friends, let's see the constitutional makeup of sulfur. The sulfur patient will be always have a very dirty, filthy and unclean look with various skin complaints on the body. The sulfur patient will always have a stoop shoulder while walking, stooping of shoulder while sitting. Standing will be the most worst position for sulfur patient. So to confirm sulfur medicine in our patient, one must always ask this, that whether the patient is comfortable in a standing position or not. So if it is a sulfur patient, the sulfur patient will tell us that the patient is never comfortable with standing position, as standing position will worsen his complaint. The patient has dirty, filthy look of the body. We will see that the sulfur patient will have some of the other skin complaints. Also, we'll see that there will be a redness of orifices. Let's say the nostril may be red, the lips may be red, or the anus may be red. As well as sulfur has nervous temperament. Thermally, sulfur patient is a hot patient. So heat aggravates the complaints of sulfur. Sulfur has scrofulous diathesis. Friends, one by one, let's see the keynote symptoms of sulfur, followed by the clinical conditions where sulfur is typically prescribed. And later, we will see the mind of sulfur patient. Starting first with burning. Burning is most important keynote symptom of sulfur. There is a burning everywhere in sulfur patient. There is a localized and generalized burning seen. Local parts like soles, palms, vertex, eyes, nose, mouth, stomach, almost everywhere there is a burning. As well as there is a burning in the entire skin. There is burning anywhere and everywhere in the body. This burning is produced because of the congestion of the affected part, because of rush of flow of blood towards the affected part. So generally sulfur is one of the heat producing remedy. So that is why the patient always wants to keep doors and windows open, because warmth of the room, heat of the bed aggravates the burning. Even sulfur does not want to cover, because covering the affected part aggravates the burning. While in bed, the patient always searches for the cold spot where he can rest his burning hands and feet. The burning is so severe that the sulfur medicine comes among Nash's trios of burner. The rest of the medicines are phosphorus and arsenic. So sulfur, arsenic and phosphorus are the trios of burner in our homeopathic Materia Medica. Next important keynote symptom of sulfur is an empty, all gone sensation filling in stomach around 11 am. This is the most characteristic symptom of sulfur. In the rest of the day, the sulfur patient is fit and fine. There is no complaint. But as 11 am approaches, there is a sudden weak feeling, all gone sensation filling in the stomach, and there is severe hunger. The hunger is so severe that the patient has to hurry to eat something and to fulfill the hunger desire. This hunger desire and weak feeling and empty feeling in the stomach may even lead to fainting. This sensation has a typical timing, specially seen on 11 am. This symptom is of course a peculiar symptom of sulfur, but at the same time it is one of the confirmatory symptom of sulfur. Patient will always tell us that patient feels so much hungry that the patient cannot control the hunger. The patient has to eat at that time, and the time is 11 am in the morning. The next keynote symptom of sulfur is standing. Standing is one of the most uncomfortable position for sulfur patient. As discussed earlier in the constitution itself, this is also the keynote symptom of sulfur, that standing will make sulfur patient so worse and so uncomfortable, and most of the complaints also gets aggravated in standing position. The next important keynote symptom of sulfur is complaints that comes continuously, the symptoms of patient that relapse continuously. That means the patient is fit and fine, but some disease condition from which the patient is suffering, and the similar type of complaints get relapse one after the another. The disease return again and again. This is specially seen in chronic cases. And also friends, this remedy sulfur can also be helpful, especially in those cases where the carefully selected remedy is prescribed to the patient. That remedy is the minimum for that patient, but still the patient is not getting well from that remedy. The symptoms of patient are continuously relapsing one after the another. At that point, even after selecting a perfect remedy, after taking a totality of symptom, and when this remedy is not at all working, sulfur when prescribed in such cases will clear up the case. So this is the most important teaching of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann sir to homeopaths, that sulfur here will work as most magical tool for us to clear up the case and to stop the continuous relapsing of symptoms. The sulfur patient will be always dirty, filthy, unclean, and this patient will have a very specific bad odor, and this bad smell will always follow the sulfur patient. Even after washing, this bad odor will not leave a sulfur body, because this bad odor or this bad smell is very natural to sulfur patient. This is also one of the most important keynote symptom of sulfur. In fact, friends, sulfur patient, though hot, does not want to be washed or bath. This is also one of the characteristic symptom of sulfur. The sulfur patient has a natural disgust for washing. That is why the patient does not even want to take bath, even though he is very dirty and unclean. There is a lots of congestion seen in sulfur patient. This congestion is generally seen localized and generalized. When seen localized, it is seen as redness of nostrils, redness of lips, redness of urinary meatus, redness of anus, redness of eyes, and so that is why when sulfur patient comes to us, we can see this congestion through redness of nostrils if the patient is suffering from coryza, or if the patient is having UTI or any other problems like piles. The patient will himself tell that the affected area is very red, hot and burning in nature. Again, this is the keynote symptom of sulfur. Friends, most of the symptoms in sulfur are caused because of suppression of any skin diseases. In fact, sulfur patient may have any skin disease whenever the patient will come to you, or the patient may have a history of skin disease in past. Also, because of excessive consumption of alcohol also produces symptoms in sulfur, as well as heat of sun and overexertion produces symptoms in sulfur. Friends, let's see the gastrointestinal symptoms of sulfur. Whatever may be the complaint or the disease condition, we will see that there is always an all gone empty sensation filling in the stomach at around 11 am, as discussed earlier. There is so much hunger that the patient cannot wait for food, and this severe hunger may even lead to fainting. As well as there is a great desire to eat sweets. In fact, this remedy can also be helpful to cure cases where the disease condition or where the symptoms have developed because of eating excess of sweet. In some cases, it is also seen that there is a strong desire for alcohol, especially for beer and for brandy. This is also the most important keynote symptom of sulfur, that sulfur patient has a strong desire for alcohol. At the same time, here the sulfur patient dislikes milk and meat. In fact, milk, if consumed, may produce variety of symptoms in sulfur patient. The sulfur patient drinks much and eats little. So while eating, the sulfur patient may drink lot of water and may fulfill his stomach just with water and with small quantity of food. As well as whenever the patient is suffering from any gastrointestinal symptoms like abdominal pain or dyspepsia, the patient will complain that there is a movement felt by the patient in the abdomen, and this movement in abdomen is felt as if like a baby moving in the womb. Again, this is the characteristic symptom of sulfur. Sulfur can also be prescribed in constipation. Here, constipation in sulfur is caused because of excessive consumption of alcohol or because of suppression of skin diseases. The stools are very hard, knotty, dry as if burnt, and these constipated stools are very painful. So while passing the stool, the patient suffers from severe pain. The pain is so severe that patient afraid of passing the stool. As well as sulfur is also indicated for piles. As we have seen in the pathogenesis that the sulfur acts on portal venous system and it produces portal venous congestion. So here in this case there is high chances of hemorrhoids. So sulfur is indicated for bleeding piles, for painful piles, and also it is indicated for blind piles. Whatever may be the type of the pile, here the sulfur patient will suffer with itching and burning in the anus and with redness and soreness of the anus. Sulfur is also indicated for diarrhea, especially for the morning diarrhea. The sulfur patient suffers from morning diarrhea, and here the severe urge to pass the stool drives the patient out of the bed in early hours of morning, especially at 5 am. And here the patient feels as if the bowels are very too weak to hold the contents. So there is severe urge to pass the stool. Sulfur is also used for dysentery. Here the patient passes brown, watery, fecal, undigested and frothy matters with blood. The odor of the stool is very unique and very unbearable, and most characteristic symptom is that this odor or this bad smell follows the patient as if the patient has spoiled himself. In respiratory diseases, sulfur is indicated in laryngitis, pharyngitis, bronchitis, pneumonia, in phthisis and even in asthma. In laryngitis, the sulfur is indicated when there is hoarseness with aphonia. Aphonia means loss of voice, and this hoarseness is generally seen worse in morning. So more the chronic the case is, better this remedy is indicated. In pneumonia and in bronchitis also, sulfur works well in almost all the stages. So here the patient suffers from oppression feeling in the chest with sense of heaviness. The patient feels very suffocated. The patient wants doors and windows to be open, especially at night. There is a weakness feeling, especially while talking. Sharp stitching pain are felt by the patient through left lung to the back. These pains are worse when lying on back, and they also get aggravated by the least movement. The next important condition we will discuss is sulfur for skin diseases. Friends, sulfur is indicated for almost all types of skin diseases. Sulfur is indicated for furuncle, for freckles, for urticaria, lichens, corns, crops of boils, herpes, eczema, psoriasis, for almost all of the diseases. The skin symptoms of sulfur patient are very prominent, and sulfur has a tendency to expel everything on the external surface. The skin of sulfur patient is dirty, filthy, unclean, rough, scaly, scabby and coarse. The patient may suffer from little perspiration, or if any perspiration is present, that perspiration will be very offensive and sore. Eruptions appear here and there in the different parts of the body. They itch and burn severely. Patient goes on itching continuously. The patient itches until the affected area becomes raw, sore, and later start to burn. Most of these skin complaints gets aggravated by heat of the bed, by washing and by covering the affected part. And also at night these complaints gets aggravated. Whenever this type of skin diseases are suppressed because of other method of treatment, this produces diarrhea or any respiratory diseases in patient. Friends, let's see the mild symptoms of sulfur. The sulfur patient have weak memory. The patient is very forgetful. Patient forgets about the recent events, particularly about the famous names. These patients have difficulty in thinking. Sometimes they cannot find a proper word while talking. Sulfur patients particularly have foolish happiness and pride. They think that they possess a very powerful things or a very powerful positions. They even think that they have a position of beautiful things. But in fact, they have nothing. Similarly, they feel that they have a knowledge of certain topic. They think that they know everything about that topic. Let's say they have religious melancholy. These sulfur patients are ragged philosopher. They go on chattering or talking on that particular topic continuously, just to prove that they know everything about this topic. That is why they are called as ragged philosopher. The sulfur patient has a delusion that the patient owns lots of wealth and property. But in fact, that's not the reality. To overcome the feeling of poverty and lack of money, the sulfur patient has a great desire for business, great desire to make money and to be financially stable. And from that symptom, a rubric comes. Delusion, old rags are as fine as silk. That means, let's say a sulfur patient is wearing a very filthy, unclean, not ironed properly, very dirty clothes. But this patient considers that these clothes are made up of silk. This is nothing but the delusion and the pride of the sulfur that he has the highest possessive things. There is a strong feeling of hatred, strong feeling of criticization. The sulfur patient feels that he is being hurt, his pride is being hurt, he is humiliated, he is made embarrassed. And to overcome this, the sulfur patient constantly makes efforts and struggle to make his proper well position in society, so that people will not insult him, people will not criticize him, they will not have a hatred feeling against him, and they will give him a proper name, fame and position in the society. Friends, this is one of the strong feeling of sulfur patient. At the same time, the sulfur patient is also very egoistic, selfish, sentimental, and sometimes too lazy to arouse himself and to make himself happy, because most of the time the patient is unhappy to live. Especially the sulfur child have a great fear of being washed, and they are peevish and irritable as well. Sulfur can be prescribed from lower to the higher potencies, but one should take a note that sulfur should not be repeated frequently. Sulfur is complementary to soranum, aconite and aloes. So friends, this is all about sulfur. Please leave your valuable feedback and any suggestion in the comment section given below. Like this video, share this video and subscribe the channel to meet again. Thank you for watching.